Welcome, one and all, to a sort of special episode of Redux because I've never done this before, and it comes off of a random thing that happened. So, by the time this comes out, there's been news that came out from Project L, which is supposed to be like League of Fighters. I mean, it doesn't even have a name yet, but League of Legends has a fighting game that's supposed to be coming out. I don't know when. Maybe in 2024. Maybe in the spring. I don't know. People were suspecting it would come out 2023. That didn't happen, and I don't think it's going to happen with how limited they've shown so far. But my whole plan was, whenever they brought in Project L news, I was going to do a reaction video of it. That was like my first, I can do like special things that are not just me playing games on the channel. But fun thing is, I saw it on Twitter, instantly watching it, and was like, oh wait, I'm supposed to do a reaction video. Can't really do a reaction video when I've seen the product before. That's just going to be me kind of relating that whole thing of just going like, oh yeah, this is what I felt in the moment. So aside from that, I was like, okay, well, I still want to do something special. So I thought of a tier list because on my Twitter, I've done it multiple times of like ideas that I would want in Project L, champions that we want to turn into fighters in Project L, and that could be cool. But I never put it as part of the channel, so I'm doing that now. So yeah, I'm trying to get into this tier list and see all the champions. I will try to explain some of these champions to people because some people don't know about League. Also, some people don't even know about the League of Legends fighter. I will probably try to show a video of that somehow before this, so people will actually know what that is. But aside from that, I'm going to explain some, because even people who know about League of Legends, there's a lot of champions, and in no shape or form do I think that they're going to in any way include all of them. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to turn this up a little bit more. But yeah, there's no way it's going to happen where they're going to put every champion in the game. It's 140 champions or more. There's actually more than 140. There's no possible way, and some of them don't work. And I'm going to talk about that in the tier list. But so far, how the tiers are, there's the confirmed, predominantly champions that have already been confirmed for Project L, which still doesn't have a name yet. That boggles my mind that there is no name for Project L yet. But aside from that, I still find that crazy. And hopefully, with the whole thing, like Project L is going to be in Evo, it's going to be in a demo. I'm not going to be in Las Vegas, so I will have to watch it from the sidelines or whatever. But I think it's in Las Vegas. I know August 4th and 5th, they're going to reveal a new champion, which I don't think is going to be from the champions they have already revealed. Even Katarina, which they only revealed for like 5 seconds of a preview. But I still don't think I think it's going to be a new champion. And maybe, who knows, that might be real only for the demo. I'm actually hoping, my biggest hope for August 4th is to like at least get like a crumb of context to who might be in the game. Like who they even in the website they show 14 slots for Project L. But again, that could be just a placeholder. Of course, it's web design. It looks better than putting 3 people and then just this black shade of a background to it. So of course they put slots. So there could be 14 slots in the game, at least for at launch, which is not too bad for, especially for like muted it by accident. It's not too bad for a beginning beginning game of the franchise to have 14 characters. Hell, technically, as a bad example, Street Fighter had 2 in the original Street Fighter, which was just Ryu and Ken, which Ken is technically just especially back then, was just a clone fighter of Ryu, so it was technically just Ryu twice, and Ken's a little faster, whoop-de-doo. Aggressive, I guess, is the best way of saying it, or aggro. But yeah, that's what that used to be. I know Grand Blue. I'm pretty sure Grand Blue Fantasy started off maybe with 8 or 10 when it first came out. So new franchise, new fighters tend to be smaller. Kind of hoping for a bigger roster, maybe because League of Legends, aside from there being so many champions, the Project L is going to be a tag team base. So not only because in normal things it's 1v1, so of course it's 14 characters or like 10 characters, whatever, but you're not going to see them all like in 2 or 3 matches. But 14 characters, technically all you need is, actually no, technically there's 4 people that could be on the stage, and if there's only like 14 champions, you only need a few matches, then you've seen every champion, or every fighter I should say, in this time. Aside from that, who knows what August is going to bring. I'm going to do the tier list with, there's the confirmed champions of people in the Project L. There's the most depth, which I, in my humble opinion, think they're going to put in Project L just because they fit too well to the scheme of it. They're too much of a fighter or anything. A lot of Ionian champions will probably find themselves in there because Ionia is just martial excellence of like being a fighter. So they're probably going to be in there. There's of course the tier list for tier for plausible or retooling is going to be needed. Where I think a champion can be plausible for the game. I think they can be put in Project L, but they're going to have to retool their kit. Mostly this is going to be for like a lot of supporters or anybody who heals, because I don't think that's going to be fair for a champion to literally heal their fighters that are like not on thing, and that's just their ability is just to heal or do enchantment and stuff like that. It's going to be very weird for a fighting game where you can just have a person sit in the sidelines and I'm healing you, and I'm healing you while I'm here, and this like that. Ashe is going to be on that list probably. Then there's a most likely not, where I don't care how popular they are or how much they're used in League of Legends. They're probably made just for League of Legends. They're made for that MOBA. Them as a fighter, it's not even the fact of them being needed to be retooled to fit the criteria. It's the fact that like legit they would have to be changed as a champion of everything they do just to fit in, and they wouldn't be the champion they are or the person they are in the like. As like if you're like a sniper or something, you would have to change from being a sniper because it doesn't work in the fighting game. And then there's the anti-tier, which is again my humble opinion. Actually, technically, all this whole tier list is my humble opinion. But these are just the champions. It's not that I hate the champions. Some of them I don't hate. But it's the fact of like, I don't want them in the game. I just don't want them in the game. There's other games that do it better. I don't want to see them in the 3D space because of that. Or it might be just way too hard, in my humble opinion, to get that and put them in there with their stats and all the stuff like that. Like, I just don't, it's just like a personal like gripe with the champion, which I will bring into foresight and make knowledge of that why as I go. So I'm going to start the tier list. There was a lot of explaining and get into this, but that's who I am. I rant and I rave. So starting off, this is Aatrox, which a little bit of him. I think it's Darken. That's how you say it. I'm pretty sure that's Dark. Darken, which is supposed to be like just a little thing. Shrimans, which is supposed to be like fantasy versions of like the desert, the Egyptians, the Ruby, like all the like this. I can't really try to get into it without it sounding weird. But just like think about if the whole stories of pharaohs and emperors and all that stuff of being of gods of like Horus and Sorbet and stuff like that. If that was actually a real fantasy, if that was a real story, you get the Sharimans, because people could legit become exalted, I guess is the word, or like just excel in becoming almost like a mini god, like a demigod of sorts, through a process. I'm not going to go into it because it might take forever for me to do it. But an event happened with the Sharimans and a different nation I'm not going to get into, where there was an introduction of the void. Because if there's matter, there has to be antimatter. There has to be a negative to everything. And the void is the closest example of that. And that fight between the Shurimians and Void did not go well, because if you're fighting something that shouldn't exist, madness will soon to follow. Think Eldritch Horrors, and you got the Voidlings in a very minuscule scale. There's no Cthulhu or anything like that, to my knowledge. But yeah, so the Exalted, or the Shurimians are pretty much demigods, started going into something of blood magic, which is Noxian, and which I will not explain further, and started becoming Darkin, which a lot of Darkin are messed up in the head because of their interactions, especially Aatrox, which is so, like, Aatrox is predominantly, like, insecurity with a rage complex. This man is so, I guess, afraid or obsessed, like, with the fact of, like, not feeling what they had to feel when they fought the Void and all that stuff, that it just wants to break the world. Because if there is nothing, there's nothing to fear anymore. That's Aatrox in a nutshell. It's not a confirmed fighter, but I would say he's a most def. Like, maybe not in the starting roster. Probably not in the starting roster. But it has to, like, Aatrox will eventually get introduced into the game. Because Aatrox, it's such, like, Aatrox has a install in his kit. He has the whole thing of jumping and moving and having this movement in his kit already. His stats, his abilities don't even use a resource aside from his own blood, which has that whole risk and reward, because you're technically hurting yourself to attack, and then you can gain that back. So that's kind of fun, and games love to dabble with that, especially fighters. And just Kingdom can fly and do all this stuff. He's going to be in there, probably. But maybe not starting roster, but probably DLC pass away, or what have you. Who knows? Because it's free to play, which I hope that Project L doesn't follow what happened with, I can't remember the name of the WB version 1. But where they were, like, had their starting roster and they were trying to release people every, like, 2 weeks or something. Probably won't have it to that craziness. But they probably will have a good amount of champions. And seeing how Project L is really, or I shouldn't even say Project L, Riot Games in general, the Riot Forge, is really harping on the fact that this is going to be, like, a forever game, like how League of Legends is still going on for 10 years. And minus the toxicity sometimes. I believe that they're thinking like Project L is going to test. They're not thinking of Project L's 2, 3, and 4. They're thinking of, we're going to keep advancing this product as long as possible and keep going with that. So anyway, Aatrox is a most def. Ahri, already confirmed. If you haven't seen it, it's in the Project L. There's all these things. Ahri is a fox. Not technically, it goes up to 9-tail. It's Kitsune. But as a Vastaya. So she's already in there. I love to see her. Awesome. And I do like the fact that, like, unlike most fighters, this is going to have more of League has a robust character line and can have creatures in there. And I'm happy not to just play as all humans. Just they have elementals stuff, so it's fun to have creatures in there. Akali has not been confirmed yet, and it's so the next one is Akali, which I don't think you can see. Wait, can you? I don't think it tracks. Oh, it does. Okay. A lot of times with the new things, they don't track the mouse, but we really need to track the mouse on this one. So anyway, Akali's there. Akali is Ionian. Like a lot of the Ionians, just best way of explaining it is like, think of like if martial arts and the Japanese, Chinese culture kind of aspect of it just kept going. Like they just never really advanced like in technology and using guns and stuff like that, and just kept with the mythicism and spirits and the balance and all that stuff of like this enriched, because Ionia is just magic and nature and people kind of living in harmony with a lot, but a lot of that kind of way of just like being of your area and the martial arts that comes with the elements on that stuff. But Akali is a ninja, straight up a ninja, kind of assassin the game, using fog clouds. The movement is there, back and forth going in there. I'm thinking Akali is a most def, but also, to be real honest, when they do the August 4th and 5th thing, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if she's the actual she's the reveal character that people can play in the demo. I would not be surprised if they were working on her behind the scene. And I know that some of the people got put in for the fighting game community and got to play the game and Project L and got introduced by League of Legends, and they get it. They're game creators. They have way more subscribers than me. So, hint, I need more subscribers. But anyway, like views and everything like that, they're in that community. They're in it. They produce content on it. I understand, 100%. I'm not in any way jealous or whatever. I kind of wish I could have seen it because, of course, they have information. Apparently, we're not only the only champion. Like there wasn't only Darius, Ari, and Echo that were there. They got to play all these characters. There were some of them not finished, some that were close to finish. So they know a little bit more of the roster than I could ever know, and they can't reveal any of it because they're probably on embargo. So I will never find out about it until it's too late. But I'm pretty sure Akali is going to be in there, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's not revealed. Akshun is supposed to be. He has the Absolver. He's kind of very, very, very connected to what was going on with the Ruin King, which I'll talk about. He's a champion on there already. This will be on this thing. I'm pretty sure Action's not going to be in the game, just because the Absolver and how it works. Yes, the Prince of Persia thing, you could kind of get it with the tethering and stuff like that. But I also think there's another champion that's coming up eventually that is better at that and probably more skilled in the whole fighting aspect. That's also why I put Action in the most likely not. But also his passive, which is very knit into his lore. I don't see that being a thing in Project L because it's broken. Because in League, he can bring people back quicker if he starts killing people. He can quicken the cooldown on like you being responded. But in a fighting game, that's a little bit too much because if he kills somebody, this person comes back with full health, and it's just a little bit, especially because there's last stands already in Project L for now. I don't see it happening. Now we have Alistair, which I don't know a lot about Alistair at all. I just know he's part of Runeterra. He's a Minotaur. He's not part. I don't think he's a part of a region in any sense. I never really look into Alistair's lore. I just know he's a very annoying support because he can heal, he can charge, he has tankiness in his kit. But I think he would be one of those that is plausible because, again, he's a big guy. He can just brush things down. He can have this fighting aspect to him. But he's going to need some retooling because the healing aspect of him is too broken in that thing that he can just, I'm going to flex, heal my party, and there's red health, so that's going to help them a little bit more. It's a little bit too much. So that probably might be scrapped or taken away somehow. Amumu, which is again, oh god, Amumu. Amumu's supposed to be he's supposed to be like a Shuriman, ancient Yordle, is I think what they landed on, because he used to be a Yordle, now a boy, then a Yordle, then back to a boy. It was weird. League is fun. With the lore, but I believe he's now an ancient Shuriman, or ancient Yordle, almost just like how Nar is that same thing, but in a different region, which is Shurima, probably. And his kit, I don't see working well in Project L. because of the crying thing, and you just like you have this active on. There's no mana anymore, so how are they going to really construct that? I don't really see him being something that they would go out of their way to have to make a Mumu a champion. I don't think anyone's really going to be like, oh my god, you need to put a Mumu to fire the presses. Like, he's a cool character. I love him in League of Legends, and probably eventually will be part of Legends of Runeterra. It was just a card game, which is cool. But I don't see him in Project Gala. It's just the hitbox thing, because he's going to be really short because of Yordle. I don't see them trying to go for it. Anivia. Oh, wow. I forgot about Anivia. The Ice Phoenix, or the Cryo Phoenix, as they like to call it, is supposed to be, like, pretty much... No, it's the god. It's a Florian god. With Flare Lord being... If I'm saying that right, I hope I'm saying it right. Please, you could comment me you can at me in the comments if I'm saying that wrong. I've heard it so many times that I say it probably wrong. But yeah, Anivia is supposed to be the god of frost, so pretty much why Flare Lord is the way it's like, hey, Flare Lord is a frozen wasteland of sorts. This is caused by something that is Anivia. Keeping that place cold all the time, and pretty much people of Flare Lord can be good with it. And if you can control true ice, which is a whole nother thing, you are living in that place. It's bad. But anyway, Anivia, it's weird because Anivia has that passive with turning into an egg and then coming back into a phoenix. I don't really see Anivia being a champ or a fighter in the game. First of all, Anivia is like, ooh, can Anivia? I think Anivia does talk, right? Or does she just screech? No. I don't know. I don't know her voice lines. And but like, it would be weird. Because if you take away the passive, it would be kind of stupid. Maybe that's how her last stand would kind of work differently. It's very weird how her powers would work. So I don't think they're going to try. Also, the whole thing with the wall thing being something, unless it's like the wall would come up and then you could literally stop somebody from doing assists, which is, again, would be very broken, unless that's her ult, which her ult is kind of just making a frozen thing. It's weird, like, how she would work. I'm going to put her in most likely not for now. That might change. Annie, 100%. So, I have an anti-tier of characters I do not want in the game for Project L. I don't hate Annie. I really don't hate Annie. I don't want her to be a fighter. And there's a main reason to this, and I'll go really quick on this. Annie's supposed to be like, is a Noxian girl with the power of fire that, again, she's one of those characters that, why would you give any single person the power of flames? Did she originally come from... Yeah, I think she was originally off like a village off of Demacia, but of course Demacians had a whole anti-magic thing. Fun. So she eventually goes into Nox, and after a horrible thing I'm not going to talk about. But yeah, Annie's one of those characters that should have never got power, especially of fire, because, again, she's a little girl with traumatic problems, so that's not good. And Tibbers, who I, again, do not know if the thing that's in Tibbers or what Tibbers is supposed to represent, which is her bear. She has a little stuffed bear that turns huge, but is a demon, like is a ancient old one of demons. So that's terrifying. But the reason why I don't want Annie in the game is predominantly because it's another little kid character. I don't like little kids and fighters. They're with all these grown-ups and everything. Teens are fine, whatever. But I don't like little kids in there because they're always just like this concept of like, oh, it's a little girl hitbox thing. She's little, whatever, or mischievous or cute. Which one? They only get 2 personalities. And the whole thing is her with her bear. I've seen that concept of a partner character with a little girl and always having a stuffed animal. It's annoying, and I've seen it too many times. and it all becomes the same gameplay. I don't want it. I just don't want it. I know Annie's very popular, or has hell. She's in the. If you go to Riot Games, if you go to the studio, you'll see her in the front. So I understand that. I just don't want her in the game. Aphelios is a very weird character because Aphelios is supposed to be. He's like. With the whole thing of Targon versus... Okay, so there's the whole thing with Mount Targon. And there's Lunarians and Solarians. I think I'm saying them right. Which is supposed to be the aspect of the moon and the sun. Or just justice in general. They're at war with each other a lot of times. Or just at odds. And Aphelios is a Lunarian. Which... his sister sacrificed herself to become like either aspect of something, and he gave up his voice so that she can speak to him, and they can be kind of intertwined. So she can gain, well, not really life. She can experience life through him, but he can never talk. Is the whole thing. And Aphelios is. He has all these weapons. Oh, I think he gave up his voice to actually be able to handle the weapons. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So he has all these weapons and different things they will alt to and stuff like that. But again, he's a marksman. He's a shooter. I can see that working, and his ult's kind of cool. And he does have ways of like bridging the gap of being like just, oh, I shoot things, and being a fighter. I think he might need some retooling. I'm going to put him as retooling. I don't want to put him as most likely not. I think he would just need a little bit of retooling. Certain things like his turret would need to go away or something like that, because that would be horrible. Just have this thing that's shooting all the time in his flamethrowers. It would be kind of weird. He would have to change his character a little bit, but not enough that he will stop being who he is. Ashe is also on that list. I'm just going to put that because she's supposed to be like the queen of Fairlord. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. There it is. She's supposed to be like the queen of Fairlord, or going to become it, I guess. Part of it. Anyway. And Ashe has a true ice bow. Or, yeah, I think that's what it is. Where she can hold and do a lot of damage if you use her right, especially in League, which she had that remake of having like a machine gun bow almost after a while. With her Q, I believe. But... yeah, so she can be a marksman, and I did look into it because she could almost be like a Frost version of, if anyone's ever played Injustice, there's Green Arrow. She can technically be like Green Arrow. So that's the thing that she can do, and it wouldn't be bad. So like she would just need that a little bit of retooling. I would highly doubt that the eagle thing that's coming out of her bow when she, which again do not understand. I know it's lore based, but the fact of like that she can throw like this spiritual thing or spectral eagle, I'm believing it is, where it just goes to a certain area and then just like, oh, I'm gonna see everything, and as it travels you get vision. I don't see that working well in any shape or form in a fighting game that's just limited space. So that would have to get retooled. Her ult might have to get retooled just because no one's going to allow you to charge. But I still see her, especially because I want that Ashe meme to be still there. So I see her being put in. She just needs retooling. Now, Aurelion Sol, as is, I do not see being in the game. 100%. He's supposed to be a wish dragon. Not really a wish dragon. I always think of him as a genie just because he always has the cuffs, but that's because people of Mount Targon, which is a region in League of Legends, which deals with the whole thing that this is a mountain that can reach to the stars, the aspects of the universe, which I guess is their own version of another version of gods. It's weird how so many regions and places have god aspects and stuff, or people. But anyway, so Mount Targon is that way to reach to the heavens and speak and then become or commune or be an aspect of these deities and stuff like that. So Aurelian Soul is supposed to be a pretty much a celestial dragon that is so powerful. He can make and destroy universe. Like, he can make stars. He can make things. He makes the space in between. And he got captured by people in Mount Targaryen is the best way of saying that. He just got clipped. I guess he got tricked and had to be used as, he was used as like, pretty much like it's like a pet almost. It was really bad. So I'm pretty sure he got freed, especially with his remake and stuff like that. And God help Mount Targaryen on that. But him as a fighter would be way too much. Like, his major ability, it would be so weird to like try to hone him in to being a fighter. So I really don't think it would happen. I can see him being a boss character, because that would be interesting. And Aurelian Soul has that kind of charm to him. But I cannot see him as, this is a fighter that you have to like maneuver. So definitely not. We have Azir, which, as I spoke about Shuriman before, or Shurima, I should say, she's one of the people. He's actually the emperor. He's actually the big cojones, is the best way of saying it. Rooster of his roost. Where becomes Azir, he excels to this almost Raw-like figure. He is supposed to be a stand-in for Raw. And can control... In a league, he literally can bring up the sands and bring up actual warriors to fight for him and move them into battle and do all this stuff. That would be very interesting and weird in Project L, because he would have to summon things to move as he's a perpetual person just there. I can see them retooling that for him to be like able to fight from far range and have some mid-range things to him. It would kind of almost work like how, like a sand version of JP of Street Fighter. So I wouldn't, well, aside from the teleporting parts, but I could see it happening, but he would need some retooling, because he can't just be, stay away from me, and the second you get close to him, he can't do. It's the best way to say it. So possible retooling we need on him. Now we have Bard. Ooh, Bard was fun. So Bard, I hated Bard when he came into the league. I hate the whole, he only speaks in like whatever the chime sounds are. I hate that he's the one support that's literally breaded to just roam the map instead of like being with his ADC, because you have to get up these chimes to get power and whatever, and you're supposed to just leave your ADC to do that. So not only are you leaving them to two people, but you also, I know you find better ways to do it. You're supposed to find the time and place, but people just dip. And then the whole thing is, yes, you can roam, but you can also get caught off guard if you're in the jungle and you don't know where your thing is. It just welcomes a lot of danger to you or your party. And then also the fact that I never liked that your ult, if you do it the wrong way, it could just be straight up trolling. You could troll with your ult because you literally cause everyone to not exist. Well, they do exist, but they can't do anything. No one can do anything. No one caught in that bubble can do harm to each other, can touch, can move rooted straight up, and no harm can come to them. So it's like, no, I never liked him in League. Now in Legend of Runeterra, the card game, Bard actually got some of my like admiration back, and I like Bard a little bit in that game. It's probably just because I don't have to hear the voice lines all the damn time, but I liked him there. Now in Project L, I don't think he's. I would. Is that even most likely not being there? I wouldn't want Bard in the game because I don't see a lot that he can take from on Bard, and it doesn't work. And I would like to see another champion in there, or especially as a support, in that slot instead of Bard. Like Blitzcrank. I would love to see Blitzcrank. And I don't even think they really need to retool him. They probably just need to give him more stuff than what he can do with his grabbing and punching people up and then zapping. But I would love to see Blitzcrank into the game because she's one of those supports that's kind of locked away because of the fact, and he's from Zon, which is, if you've ever seen Arcane, it's the underbelly of Pitover. Watch Arcane if you haven't seen it. It's amazing. You don't need to just know about League to watch it. It's a very good show on Netflix. They do not pay me for this. Watch Arcane. It's 6 episodes. There's no excuse. Watch it. It's a very amazing thing. And then, it's a good piece. It's an amazing piece of cinema. And if they ever try to, like, I don't know how they're going to one-up it in season 2, but I hope they do. But anyway, Blitzcrank is like a robot. Just straight up, he is a robot in Zon. And he has good guy vibes a lot, but it's like almost like, which is funny because he's an Iron Golem, but he's supposed to be like a smaller version of Iron. Like it's the same concept kind of thing. He can be a very massive amount of destruction, but he does a lot of good, or is at least trying to be a lot of good, especially when he's not when he's not Blitzcranking. He actually gives advice to people. It's funny. Anyway. League lore, but I would think Blitzcrank as a most def, like they would just maybe need to give him stuff, but like I want to see if they have supports in there. I want the supports that can get something out of it that they can't get out of League, because League kind of like holds them down to like, well, you're supporting, so you cannot have the ability to like win the game or to triumph with them. We can't have you have these abilities that you would definitely have. And you also are kind of locked with what items you can get, because if you go AP Blitzcrank, you're very squishy. And it's not going to work, so you have to go like this tank build and not do damage. It's annoying. So I would love to see a lot of those characters in Project L, just because they're now fighters. They don't have to be held back by what they are in League, and I would love to see that. But yeah, so Blitzcrank, most def in there. There's going to be... It's either him, Thresh, or like Pipe. There's going to be a person who has the come over here aspect. It's just going to happen. Let's not kid ourselves. They might all 3 be in there, because why not? There's going to be a lot of ninjas in there too. But anyway, so Bran, I can see Bran in there as a now. Okay, Bran's interesting on his thing because he has an alt that literally bounces fire from one side to the other, like between each other. And that's kind of broken in Project L, because I guess if they're not on, if the other, like, so if your assist or your fellow partner is not on the screen with you, then I guess it would just bounce once and you just go to hit them and then cause damage on the person who's like in the wits, like, why am I getting hit by this thing? But it won't bounce back because it physically can't, I guess. Or however they're going to explain it. But I guess if you had 2 people out at the same time, like if you bring in an assist by accident and you're both on the screen, like you're both physically there, that brand alt will do massive amount, because it's going to keep bouncing until somebody disappears off the screen and then it stops bouncing. So I could see that, and that would be very interesting. I wouldn't want to be the person who has to program that, for God's sakes. But it would be very interesting. I would say plausible. I'm not going to say... I don't really think Brand would need retooling, because he has stuns, he has this, and all he would need is these hard locks, and he would just be less of a ranged character and more of like a melee, but he's walking fire. I can see it. Like, so maybe a little bit of retooling. But I'm not going to put him as a most def. Like, I'm like, he's probably not going to be in the game. But it could happen. Braum. Now, okay. Braum is a most def for me, and I want him in the game. I really need him in the game. Even more than Ashe, to be real honest. Like, if they needed, like, okay, we have to make a decision who's going to be the who's going to be the ice. Ashe got me in the head. Who's going to be the ice fighter for Project L? Somebody needs to represent this element. I would put Braum over Ashe, even though Ashe is more of ice, 100%. But I want Braum because Braum is, again, another one of those supports that are locked in what he can do because he has to support in the game. But Braum is supposed to be this legendary hero that comes in. He's a guardian of the people. He does a lot of the impossible things. That's what his legend is. Oh, this was impossible before Braum came in and fought the good fight. But I never get to see him fight because he's always locked behind. I'm a support. I don't actually punch things aside from taunts. And maybe to lock somebody up after 4 hits, which that probably will be too broken if he keeps hitting 4 times and you just like iced yourself for a little bit. Could interrupt things. That would be fun. I would love to see Braum in the game just because I want to see him as a fighter. And also Braum is... I wouldn't say Braum is the best design character. He's not really... He's a very good design. I'm not saying he's not, but he's not complex in any way. He's just a shirtless guy with a good mustache and an amazing shield look. But is he the best character in the game? I would want to say 100. Like his characteristics and his funness to him is amazing. He really is the heart of Freelord and probably the heart of Runeterra because he's just this charismatic good fellow, and I love him. Even when they did the skin for him being like a bank robber, he just seems like he's the muscle and doesn't know what he's doing. It's funny. But I love Braum, and I want him as a most def. Caitlyn? You know what? I'm going to put Caitlyn in the anti-tier. Caitlyn's from Arcade, also one of the... I believe is actually one of the earliest of champions is Caitlyn. But Caitlyn's a sniper. Caitlyn shoots from afar. She has one of the longest ranges in League of Legends. That is what she is. She is a markswoman. I don't want her to be in a fighting game where they would have to retool her kit to being a short range person or being like that she would use her sniper rifle as a hitting weapon, because that's how you break a sniper rifle. It's not for that. Those are almost like, oh wow, I got caught, bucked, and then you try to get away. You're still trying to use the rifle as a rifle, especially a sniper rifle. So I wouldn't want her to be then locked into like, oh, you're a fighter now, we have to change certain things. Just leave her as is. She can be a background character, maybe talk to Vira or whatever, or be part of a story, who knows, but I don't want her to be in the game because they would have to change who she is, and what she is so essential to her character. Like, she is a markswoman. Like, that is what she is. That is her weapon, that's what she uses. I don't want that to change. Now, oh god, what is this? For the first time ever, I actually got to a person I don't remember her. Does it start with a C? Oh my god, I hate myself for this. I forgot this girl's name completely. And it's not even a girl, oh my god. That is a grown woman who has an age, who can slow her aging. Why do I not remember her name? Oh, I'm gonna hate myself for this. I really am. Why can I not remember her name? I am just straight up stalling. I am 100% stalling till I can. Once I know her name, I'm gonna be Camille. There it is. So, remember how I was talking about action and the whole thing of him like probably attaching to a wall and kind of swinging in and doing that. It could be used in a better character to be a fighter. That's Camille. Camille can use that and have a lot of mobility of like zooming through the map and going up and attaching things and swinging into it. But she also has 6 legs, which can be used to a crazy amount of effect. Her passive might need a retool or just straight up not be there, because there's no just like a physical damage versus magic damage is not a thing in Project L. You're just gonna hit. So she'd probably just get a shield of some sort. Who knows? Her ult also would be kind of weird unless it like locks, which could be, it's a final. It could be a lock of like this person literally cannot use their assist, and then it's like it's a horrible debuff because you can't use your assist. Maybe you can use oh no, they would have to give you dynamic save, because that's, even when your person's dead, you can still use a dynamic save. But that would be kind of crazy. And also, Camille just looks cool. Like, if I played top more, I would play Camille just because I love her. She's actually a really cool design and very sleek. And at the same point edgy and just really into her work. Like, she really is going to come at you. Like, Caitlyn would be more of like a cop or like a detective coming after you with her, like cops with her. Camille's the SWAT. Like, she's like, oh, I'm coming to either kill you or take you away where no one can find you. Like, I don't want Caitlyn on my case, but at the same time, she might be fair. Camille's going to kill me, or I'm going to wish I was dead. Like, I'm not doing that. So, plausible on there. And I love her. And she's in Pitover. That's her whole thing. Oh yeah, Cassiopeia, which is supposed to be Katarina's sister. But you don't know who Katarina is? This makes no sense. You probably should. Like, if you watched my oh fudge, the Maze Seeker, Katarina was there. Well, she's in the comics, and I talked about her on the first episode, I guess. Well, yeah, Katarina is of Noxus. Cassiopeia is of Noxus also, and is his sister. And if you haven't noticed, have some Shuriman in her, or something happened in Shurima, because she is Snake Woman. She is supposed to be, well, which is weird because she's not of Egyptian. She's supposed almost like the stand-in for Medusa, but she got cursed, and she's now stuck being Snake Woman. I can see it. Like, I can see, like, her ult probably wouldn't work. Like, unless she's just gonna stun you fully on there, and the poison aspect would be harsh because she might be the only one with poisons. And if anyone remembers Street Fighter V, there was a character who, I'm not saying it's the same thing as character, but like, there was a character with poison, and it was not liked. So I would say most likely not. I wouldn't say she's not a good champion. But as a fighter, it would be so weak. Like, it could be plausible too. I don't know. I want to say most likely not. But again, she's a little bit between. If there was like a between ranks, she would be on there like, Now, Choga. Oof. He is the Void Champion. He's like one of the first Void Champions. I think he is the first Void Champion in the game. He did a lot. He was better when he was able to be a jungler. Now he's not, because your E doesn't. I think it's the E with the it's not darts, needles that come out of your body. But that stopped being like, oh, it keeps going. You only get 3, and it takes a lot of mana, so no one uses him anymore in jungle, or barely anyone does. I've just been talking nonstop. Sorry. Okay, so I know. Yeah, Cho'Gath as a voidling. I would say plausible. I'm gonna say plausible. It's gonna be it would be very weird to put Cho'Gath in it, but he can talk. So that's a plus. But also, like, that rendering would be hell. I could see DLC. I cannot see starting roster with Cho'Gath, just because he's so big, and so, like, and they can scale it down, of course. But, like, he's big. His ult also works that he eats people and gets bigger. So how's that gonna work? What, he kills one person and he's just like his maximum size? That would be annoying. That would be annoying as heck. Oh God, why did that even pop in my head? That would be annoying. Well, yeah, I would put him as plausible. Corky, which is a Yordle, even though Corky legit looks like a small elderly man in a cockpit of a Corky kind of reminds me of a Red Baron, but like, it just, Corky's a Yordle. Last time he's a Yordle. I would put it in anti-tier. I'm gonna put a lot of Yordles in the anti-tier of just like not wanting them in there. But like, Corky, because his whole aspect is being in the plane, I don't want to be in a fighting game and see a guy in a plane zooming around in a plane. I don't want him to hit a plane. Like, it just seems like a dumb concept, and it's just something that would have to be a part of his. Because you take him out, almost gagged. Like, Like, I don't want to even see Corky come out of the suit. I remember there was a fun little video of Corky coming out of the plane because his plane crashed, and he was just this big, broly man, and that was hilarious. Never want to see that in the game. So, 100% Corky's in the anti-tier. It's not happening. I don't want it. I really don't. Darius has been already confirmed. Of course, the big, broadly man with his axe and his hand and doing all that stuff up this and that. Awesome. Love him. What's going to be in the game. He's Noxus. Like, there's certain characters, there are certain champions that pretty much, like, resemble, is identifiable for the region. And Darius is one of those people that he is Noxus. He's a general of generals. Like, this man is coming first in those fights. He's coming with his axe. He's coming with his bloodlust. He's coming with the bleeds, which I don't think is actually in the game. I think they have some concept to that, but he's coming with that damage, and he's a big man. And maybe might be slow, but that pain would make you wish he was faster. Like, oh. Anyway, but yeah, confirmed. 100% it's already in the game. Diana, I want to say is a most def. They would have to So the whole thing with her things being carves and stuff like that might be weird in a 2D space, but also it's kind of like, because her things work as a MOBA where it like curves that way, it would have to curve upward. It'd be weird. It could be plausible. Her moves bring people closer. She has the little ball things that attack people. It would be kind of like Ari. Well, actually, it used to be. I don't know if they would just give it to Diana. But yeah, it's plausible. I'm going to put it. She's a Lunarn. She's part of Mount Targon. She probably be one of the representatives. If they put Diana, they're probably going to put Leona, and she's on the list. So I can see it. Draven. I'm gonna say Draven most likely not, even though it's the League of Draven, not a fighter. He's more of like, he throws axes. And then I couldn't see the concept of him throwing the axe and trying to catch it while also dealing with other people. And then it's just this huge, like, okay, I'm gonna throw it, don't get close to me. Maybe he could use the axes as more of axes than actual, like, throwing weapons. You know what? I take that back. It's plausible. First one I moved does that. Dr. Mundo. Then though, which might not even be a doctor. He might be just clinically insane. Probably is. I don't even think he's ever been a doctor or businessman. It's fun. But Mundo, I can see Mundo being, like, I can see it. I don't know if it would be a most deaf. That healing thing would be very annoying. The way, how much he can just heal past this red thing and then come back. But he also uses his Wait, is he mana now? Okay, actually, that's a good question if he's mana now or not. Because if he's mana now, I can see it less likely. Let's check on thing. This is why I brought my phone with me, because I knew there was going to be questions. Like, I know a lot about League, but not like every single like everything about League. I only know what I've researched and put my thought process in. Oh, it's still health cost. Okay, yeah, so it's still plausible. The fact that he has to damage and heal and stuff like that. He throws axes, he has a projectile, which would be fun. But it's not like he's a projectile user. So I can see it. Plausible in there. Echo's already confirmed. Echo's probably going to be a definite just because Echo... It's weird because, of course, like, some of his moves don't work, like, in the fighting scene, but he can be retooled very easily, and that's what happened. But also, he's a melee fighter, so... He's a melee mage, so... It makes sense, and I love Echo on there. He became more of a character and a representative. He's kind of like the hope of Zon, especially with Arcane bringing up in knowledge. Whew, Elise. Damn. Which is supposed to be like a spider of the Shadow Isles, which I don't even know how she's not a wraith or undead, but she's there. But yeah, so she's a spider queen. She can turn into a spider. She has a spiderlings with her. I can see it. I don't know how it's going to work with her. Like, unless her ult is literally to turn into a spider, attack you as a spider and whatever, and then you're just stuck as that and she turns back to being normal, I can see it. Or if she, like, grabs you and, like, does that thing and come back and you're like, eh. So I can see her. I think it's plausible. I just think it will take a lot. It's going to take a lot to work with her on that, I think. Maybe, who knows, they might add some certain things from her old kid or whatever. Evelyn, I can see Evelyn being in the game. She would have the same charm kind of aspect as Ari, but also she has the spikes, and she has the devilish charm or whatever, even though she's not a devil, and it's more like a demon of sorts. And she does have that monstrous form, which is terrifying. I can see her. I can see her being in the game. I don't really think it might. I don't think it's plausible. It's plausible. It's plausible. Just put it as plausible. Just end it. Too much talking to myself on this. Well, talking to you peeps, but it is me in a room putting up figures on something that it took way longer than I expected it to be. So yeah. Wait, I don't know, I could do this in parts. I don't know how much I want to do. Because this is about almost an hour right now. Let me see how much more champions. Oh, we have a lot more champions. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to end it here for now. I'm going to put this in parts and then continue with the second part of the tier list for project, like, fighters who can be in Project L. And just go with that. So for now, hope this is good. People like it, whatever. The next parts won't me beginning with a lot of talking, hopefully. So for now, BFN, bye for now. Thanks for watching. This will be extra on there because it's not going to be part of my regular listing. So that should be fun to have to edit. So, well, not really edit. It's just going to be me talking. But that's going to be fun to put into the game. So, or my schedule. I'm rambling on too much. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, like, all that jazz. With that, BFN, bye for now. Yeah.